Sophia, in just a few years, you've created Nasty Gal, and it's something of a phenomenon. I mean, you guys have got 128 million in revenue this year, more or less, and a hugely profitable company. How did this all start?
So I started an eBay store in late 2006, and it was just me. I did everything myself, and did that for a year and a half, and it was really successful. But eBay is a crazy environment. It was a great opportunity for me to learn that I could be an entrepreneur. It was a place that I was able to try a lot of things out and learn how to sell things online.
And then you were just doing vintage, right?
Just vintage clothing, and then
you would find things at the Salvation Army?
Yeah, I would camp out at the Salvation Army for like hours at a time and look through every last piece of clothing. I once found like a Chanel jacket for $8 and put it on eBay with like a starting price of $9.99, and it sold for over $1,000. I mean, it's an amazing place to learn about perceived value and just to learn the value of things and what girls are interested in, because they're actually fighting over things rather than just buying a volume of things.
eBay is a pretty ruthless environment to run a business, right?
Yeah, there's tons of competition. There's other sellers. When customers are shopping for things, they might be looking at search results with thumbnails that are teeny tiny, and it's your job to make those thumbnails stand out. And so I spent a lot of time looking at the silhouette of the garment and looking at the model and trying to distill everything that was successful about the largest version of the photograph into what then had to become the smallest version of the photograph. And that's really your only opportunity to capture the customer's attention, and it still holds true on the website as it is today.
What is it to be a nasty gal? I met with a lot of your customers, and some of them will describe themselves as like a nasty gal.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think it's a little bit different for everybody, but I think there's kind of an overarching sentiment of, I guess, empowerment, coolness, girls just doing cool things and not necessarily playing by the rules. Kind of you can have your cake and eat it too, in a way. I think that is part of the Nasty Gal ethos.
You have, speaking of breaking the rules, you have run this company in a very, I would consider, a modern way. It's entirely online at this point. You haven't done a lot of the traditional marketing, advertising gimmicks that we see in retail in this era of daily deal making. So what have you guys done online that has made this successful?
I think it's just been the evolution of having shown up online and being there on MySpace in the beginning with our customers, talking to them constantly, and the evolution of the brand just growing out of this conversation. So we have like a really close relationship with our customers, and they're constantly talking to us and we're constantly talking to them, and we are them in a lot of ways, which makes it pretty easy for us. There hasn't been a huge strategy behind social media for us, which I think our customers are savvy to, and so they respond.
How did you go from eBay store to Nasty Gal?
So designed and launched the website in June of 2008, and it was exclusively vintage then, but since then we've begun to carry new designers and work with showrooms, and the next step for us is our own collection.
These are cute. Yeah, these are really cute colors.
So I have to ask, Sophia, where did the name Nasty Gal come from?
I started an eBay store when I was 22 years old and didn't really expect to be saying Nasty Gal for the rest of my life. So I named it Nasty Gal Vintage after this album and a song by this woman named Betty Davis, who's super inspiring to me. She was an ex-wife of Miles Davis, runway model, super outspoken, super stylish, amazing lyrics, just this incredible woman. And it was kind of like if I can survive with a business name like this, then it must be good.
You raised venture funding earlier this year. What was it like taking a fashion brand to Silicon Valley?
It was great. It's a world that I'm not familiar with. This is the first time I've ever even worked in an office, so I visited a fair amount of offices and met a lot of guys who were really impressed with the brand. I showed up empty-handed, didn't have a deck.
No PowerPoint.
I don't know how to use PowerPoint. And told the story. So, I was 5 years in. We were about to close a $28 million year. I own 100% of the business. We were profitable and debt-free. So it was kind of an easy conversation, and it was just like, if I like you and you like me and I think you can help and you think you can help, then we can do it.
Where do you want to take Nasty Gal?
We're just trying to find as many ways as possible while keeping up with the growth, obviously. to talk to our customers. So whether it's the blog relaunch or the new website or new things that we're building out via technology, we want that conversation to be on our turf. So, it's been on Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. But, we have this awesome following and we want to serve our customer in as many, positive ways that we can. So the collection that we're launching is super exciting. I mean, I don't know who has the privilege of designing for a customer that they've known for 5.5 years. It's like almost making a collection for yourself. The next, I guess, era of Nasty Gal is to keep doing what we do best, do it in new ways, continue to excite our customer, and just keep it real like we have since day one.